How do you define what mental health is, Alex?
It's a challenging question, and it seems that sometimes even the answer to that can change depending on, where society is and what our role in society is. I think at the end of the day, the most important human trait that really sets us apart from animals even, and what truly is a very powerful tool that we have is our ability for impulse control. What I hear so often in my work and what I'm writing about as well is that I think many of us know the right things to do, but we're not good at doing it.
Right.
The example often given is that some people, I feel like, if you were driving a car, it's like driving with two wheels in the ditch and two wheels on the road. And you know very well that the driving would be much better on just a little bit more to the left on the actual roadway. The steering wheel is stuck for many people. It seems tough to make the change, to do the things that you said you were going to do, whether it's getting to bed earlier or not eating after 7 p.m. or sticking to an exercise or a meditation regimen. And to me, a lot of that really comes down to impulse control, which is really tied in very closely with willpower. And it's our ability to say, I'm not going to let that event upset me. I'm going to move past it, but actually being able to do that. And I think that this ability, quote unquote, for driving or to steer and see the potholes and avoid them, I think is a human superpower. And it's something that I think we can all harness and exercise and get better at. But in the end, I think the goal isn't so much happiness, because we all know, I think a lot of biological systems really exist on balance. And I think for every happy moment, there's also going to be a moment of feeling down. And the human brain and the nervous system really functions on differences. So I think to say, hey, we wish people to be happy is only looking at half of the equation. I think it's okay to have feelings. It would just be nice if we had some better ability, perhaps the wisdom, to choose where we focus. Are we any happier now than we were 100 years ago? And truthfully, I think happiness is more internal than that. And I think all these external things, whether they're good or bad, in the end, I think wherever you go, there you are to a certain degree. And that's going to be nuanced by our biology and our psychology, our life experiences, and all of those coming together really to kind of create that wisdom. I think the goal is to be wise and to know which battles to pick and to be able to stick to your plan.
I love that. I love your wisdom, Alex. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Different than like brute force or intelligence, even. It's something finer than that, I think,
Yes, you make me think about spirituality, or the ideas, concepts of spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
What are your spiritual ideas, visions? Do you have any spiritual belief systems?
I often tell my patients that if you think you are the top of the food pyramid or the top of any pyramid, the only way left is down.
Yeah, right.
So I think it's good something over us that gives us something to aspire to and something to believe in. I'm definitely not saying it has to be Buddha, Jesus, or any spiritual leader in any way. I think for many people, it could be nature. It could be love. It could be any one of many virtuous things that just gives us a sense of something greater. It could be as simple as like the goosebumps that you get from a thunderstorm or a beautiful musical piece, but it's that feeling of, wow, the sublime, that there's something there that transcends our existence. And I think, we all need to believe in something.
Yeah.
And we all need to dream a little bit and believe in something that might not be real to a certain extent, because that's what a dream is. And in many ways, I think if you look at human life, isn't it really a dream in the end, if you think about it?
Right.
I have patients with severe depression. And thankfully, the people I've seen with this are few, but there's people with nihilism. And people with nihilism will say, what's the point of brushing my teeth, getting up, going out of the house, falling in love if we're all going to die anyway? And I'll be honest, it's sad a little bit, but there is truth to that. It's right. Like, we are all going to die. But the question is, can you live the dream in the meantime? Because the dream involves forgetting that a little bit, or distancing yourself from a little bit of that reality. So you're not just a pile of carbon atoms waiting to decompose. I often joke that, we all start our lives, I think, as Buddhists. We're eager to get, milk and food and fighting over toys, mine, not yours. But I think at the end of life, our goal is to become Buddhists. And I don't mean literally Buddhist, but I mean that mindset of, you're not a pile of carbon that's going to decompose, but you're going back to the sea of the cosmos. You are not an individual against the world, but you are a part of this beautiful thing. And I think those sort of like transcending ideas, especially as we go through life, I think are fundamental to us finding happiness and peace in our daily lives.
Yes, a trillion times to that. I love the way you speak, Alex. Thank you for
Thank you,
sharing.
Valeria.
Yeah, and sharing your heart.
It brings me tremendous joy.
Yeah, I can see that. It's very profound. Very profound. And I know you're writing a book, so talk to me about that. Is the title of your book, the book that you're writing, Meditation or Medication?
That's the title. So the book really describes a lot of the work that I do. So I believe in a biopsychosocial spiritual model. In psychiatry, we've often had a biopsychosocial model, which is a great way to look at things, right? There's a biological piece, a psychological piece, and then a social piece. I actually think we should add to that a spiritual piece, because that might be all-encompassing, and it might also be at the root of our own psyche and ourselves. The spiritual piece is interesting because it's both on the outside and on the inside. In this book, we talk about this balance between Darwin and Buddha, and these drives as we go through life. I think fundamental to a lot of the human experience is this, how much should I care, right? We bring up the example, the classic story of Aesop and the ant and the grasshopper, right? So that the ant prepared for the winter time and didn't starve, and the grasshopper enjoyed and played all summer and starved when the cold months came. So that always begs this question of how much to be versus how much to strive. And that kind of comes back to that Darwin-Buddha question, which is, to me, Darwinism is striving, it's competing, it's wanting to be better. Buddhism is accepting and finding happiness in what is. The book goes into that quite a bit. I also think that there's a lot of people that sometimes try different modalities without success for too long. I've seen too many people using, relaxation apps at 3 o'clock in the morning without success for 4 or 5 years in a row. Or people that are in therapy for 10 years also with mixed progress. I've had patients that did everything from ayahuasca ceremonies to cold showers to Wim Hof breathing and other such techniques. I believe completely that those things can help, but I also think we need to pay attention to the people for whom they don't. And part of the book also, as a psychiatrist, I really want to stay balanced. To me, the title, meditation, implies every psychological intervention there is, and medication speaks to more of the biology. And the point I'd like to bring up is that at some point, some people just need to wear glasses, and being told to squint harder or avoid dark rooms and all that is workable. But I see a lot of human suffering when people are told to try harder, or they're too scared to get a diagnosis of anxiety, all too common, or a diagnosis of depression. And the avoidance of that leads to so much human suffering, especially because I kind of see the people that have tried it all and it hadn't worked. In the end, speaking to that experience of life also, being in the wrong headspace results in so many missed magical moments. I cannot tell you how many people I've worked with where, family gathering, dinner, everything is great. The parents, the kids, the friends are there, and they're preoccupied with nonsense, stressing over the stupidest thing. And, we all talk about mindfulness and non-presence, but a lot of that, there is some wiring that can predispose us to be that way. And some of the most powerful lessons I've learned for biology and psychology, I think anybody that's had children will realize that kids are born different, Valeria. They were too young. Sometimes you see the difference when they're already a year old. Yeah. They're too young to even say they learned that or they got that from their dad or their mom.
Right.
But the same way, our vision can be different, our blood pressure can be different, our mood state, our stickiness, and our biology can be different. And some people, I think, to use the metaphor, really benefit from putting on a pair of glasses. And others, I just worry, suffer for a long period of time trying to squint through life. My latest thought is that really you can have the willpower to make that shift. Because I've thought about even this Darwin-Buddha balance, right? We all know that there's times in our lives when you need to kick butt and get things done, And there's other times when it's okay, you're good, enjoy what you got. So you realize that it's not a matter of being a Darwinist or a Buddhist always, but rather being able to shift gears or drive the car left and right when needed. There's a time to fight and there's a time to enjoy and relax. And that ability is the goal. Like most things in nature, there's a balance. Nature tends to not like extremes, I think. And in a case like that balance of how much do I do the dance that I want to dance versus wait, nobody seems to be doing, the Macarena or whatever dance they're doing right now. And that's that balance between observing and being versus willing and striving. And there, I think in the end, the best dancer in that scenario would be the one that's the most adaptable.